It's time for breaking bread with Papa. Hey, don't you know? Hey, it's our goal. Hey, it's time for breaking bread with Papa. Hey, don't you know? Hey, it's also a show.
Hey, everybody, welcome to another edition of Breaking Bread with Tom Papa. I am Tom Papa. Thank you for joining me at the table once again. We have a great show for you today. We've got a comedy legend producer turned bread baker, Jim Serpico, on the program, who's worked with so many of my friends and is such a talented guy, and now is taking this journey into the bread baking world, which is so exciting. We'll get more into that in a bit, and we'll grab a quick bite with Robert Kelly, my good friend. Jim actually created a special with him. Just one of the great comedians, great people, and great eaters of all time, Robert Kelly. I would like to thank the good people from Freshly for sponsoring our show today. Freshly.com/Papa, P-A-P-A. Go there now and get $40 off their first two orders when you go to freshly.com/Papa, P-A-P-A. Freshly is such a great company. Look, we all love to cook here. We all love to make great things here. It is our goal to enjoy our lives and create the best meals that we possibly can. And the people at Freshly have come up with such a great system. They sell you these meals, deliver them to your home, good meals, good for you, and they show up in this very easy packaging. And I'm telling you, it's a lifesaver, because not every meal can you be breaking out every element and ingredient that you need. Not every meal can you be creating a masterpiece. You need help to fill in the blanks. There's a lot of meals all the time, and the people from Freshly are here to save your life. I'm telling you, they're so good. I had this buffalo chicken thing. I had the home style chicken dish, and you come away, you're like, this is, not only does it taste great, but I feel great. It's a no-brainer. This company is so great. It's a perfect fit for our podcast. Go to freshly.com/Papa, P-A-P-A, and you'll get $40 off your first two orders. Very exciting. Okay, so I am hot off a very, I would say triumphant. Frank, come here, Frank. I have a pug Frank. There you are. Come on in. He's been peeing everywhere in the house, and if I don't see him, I know he's peeing. So I have to keep doing and then he thinks that he gets a treat. And then I hold my hand up because he's a pug and can't really see straight, and he just licks my fingers and he thinks that's a treat. I know it's disgusting, but this is the life that I'm living. Last night I had a great meal. I brought over my good friend Fortune Feemster and Erin Foley, and I made lemon pasta, which I have been perfecting. And I think last night I finally zeroed in on exactly what it was. It was so great to cook for them. The celebration was a midweek celebration. Great wine. We had some Silver Oak wine. And the lemon pasta, it's an easy dish, but it's really this time of year especially, basically you got to zest your lemons. You get that lemon zest. You get like 2 tablespoons of that. You take a nice little pot as your linguine or bucatini is cooking, and it's just lemon zest and cream. And as you start to whisk that into its nice little texture, you start adding in a little butter, and you start adding in a little Parmesan, and it just slowly starts to cream and starts to get to this consistency. And then without draining your pasta, you take that pasta into your concoction, start mixing it around. Not that different from the process when you're doing cacio e pepe. It's the same kind of a thing where you just want it to stick. You don't want it to be too loose. You don't want it to be too heavy. So it's really just the practice of it. The ingredients are so simple. Lemon zest, salt, pepper, cream, and you're in. And then you start throwing in some butter and some Parmesan. Simple. What is not simple is getting the feel for it, and that only comes from repetition. But to be honest with you, I haven't made it that often, and like I said, I nailed it. It was so good. And then you have the bread, and again, the triumph of when you do make a great meal is when you just kick back and you watch it just disappear from people's plates. You don't have to sell it. You don't have to do anything. You just sit back and watch how much they're enjoying it. I nailed it. I encourage you to make it too. Maybe I'll even post the recipe that I used. Lemon pasta. This is the time to do it. Go for it. Jim Serpico, very talented producer. He's been part of my comedy extras in my life coming up in New York. He worked with Dennis Leary forever with his management company. He created Rescue Me and Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll. He was a part of Marin. He's worked with Gary Goldman. He's worked with Robert Kelly, as we said earlier, Pete Corielli, Comedy Central roast of Jeff Foxworthy. I'm just picking things off of a long list. The Job, Comics Come Home. He has this great sense of comedy. He's always been in the orbit of New York, always worked with friends of mine. And the reason I'm so excited to spend time with him today is because he started baking bread. He started baking bread just like I did, got obsessed just like I did, had ideas of selling it just like I did, and then he went out and he did it. And he started showing up at farmers markets, and now he's created a business, which is not just like I did. I did not go down this path, so I'm so excited to see what happens when someone changes his kitchen into a bakery and starts expanding into his garage and other spaces and starts making a career, an extra career. It's called Side Hustle Bread. You can look it up on Instagram. You can look it up on social media and go to sidehustle.com, which I will post all this information so you have it. It is a triumph. And I'm telling you, he's starting to feel all of the stuff that I was thinking. But what happens when you need 700 loaves of bread by Sunday? He's going to tell us. And as much as he enjoys it, it is a lot of work. And now he's got this side hustle bread is not such a little side hustle anymore, but a great inspiration. All right, so enjoy the conversation now with Jim Serpico, and then we'll grab a quick bite with Robert Kelly.
Hey,
how are you?
Look who it is. This is great. Thanks for doing this.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
This is very cool. This is exactly why I'm doing this show. I couldn't be more perfect.
Thank you. Well, we'll see what you say at the end of this.
Good point. Good point. All right, let's jump right in. Are you good? You look good. You sound good.
Okay. Do you mind if I have a beer while we're doing it?
No, not at all. I'm still on coffee, but I'm West Coast.
I got you. Oh, good.
Well, cheers. Thanks for being here.
Cheers. Thanks
Cheers.
for having me. Really appreciate it.
This is so cool. I'm so excited to talk to you. I had no idea what you've been up to with your life, and
It's pretty crazy.
This comedy to bread mashup is so perfect because it is. I know we're going to have very similar stories, and then we're going to have some little splits in the road.
Yeah.
But let's start off just so our listeners know. We've been kind of crisscrossing a lot. I don't think we ever actually did a project together.
We have not worked together.
But you've done projects with a lot of my friends.
Tons of your friends.
Yeah.
I manage a couple.
Right. Who do you manage?
Jessica Curson.
Nice.
I worked with Brewer for about 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
Produced a lot of his stuff. And someone named Jared Freed.
Nice. Love Jared.
Yeah.
He's a good guy.
So,
He's very big with the 20-year-old girls.
they love him.
They love him.
They love Jared. They line up and they throw feathers and wave stuff at him.
It's so great. He's such a good guy.
Nice.
So yeah, and Robert Kelly. I mean, you've done a lot of comedy specials, and of course, Dennis Leary. You guys have been. Is that how did you start out into the comedy kind of orbit?
I had a job as an assistant at a music booking agency, because
Okay.
that's the other thing you and I have in common. I was a jazz trumpet player in college. I studied music.
Right.
So I'm a big jazz guy. My father was a trumpet player.
Oh,
And I thought
wow.
I was going into music, and I got a job at a booking agency booking oldies groups. And I started booking those groups at the colleges. So they sent me to NACA.
Ah.
And then I met all these agents at the big agencies, selling the comedians at like
Yeah.
WME and APA and all these places. And I became friends with them. And they asked me to be a middle agent for their comedians.
Ah.
That kind of threw me very quickly into the world of like booking. When I was 22, I was booking Adam Sandler's college gigs as a middle agent and then driving him to the gigs.
Wow.
It was crazy. And that's when I was like, I like this comedy thing. I'm going to go down this path. And I
Yeah.
worked for a management company real quick. And Dennis Leary, Billy J, Roger Cabler, Judy Gold, all
Wow.
these people were there. And then
Yeah.
I would go to the clubs and try to sign people like Dave Chappelle. I didn't
Right.
successfully sign Dave Chappelle, but I tried.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's basically how I started in comedy.
Wow. That's so great. Yeah. Because I mean, you always had such a cool, group that you were always involved with, like really good people. Like I was friends with a lot of the people that you worked with and admired Leary immensely. And you just always seemed, I just always pictured a very cool environment. And did Conan work with you?
Yes, absolutely. Conan Smith.
I was in your office. That's when I was in your office.
Yes.
I wasn't working with Conan at the time, but we went to high school together, and we're good
You
buddies.
did?
Yeah, yeah. We went to high school in New Jersey together, and we had all the
Wow.
same friends, the whole thing. And yeah, I love Conan. And yeah, when he worked for you for a bit, I went to pick him up to go for drinks, and yeah, I was in your office.
Conan comes to my farmer's market.
He does.
Yeah, and he buys bread.
Oh, that's amazing.
We
That's
both
so
live in
cool.
Long Island, so yeah. It's
Yeah.
very cool. He's a good friend of mine.
Yeah, but I always admired your projects, and like and like I said, it was more the people that you obviously had an eye for. It was a kind of, it made sense when people were working with you. Like you had a pretty distinct taste, I would say.
Yeah, I guess I gravitated towards a certain, with a little bit of an edge and character driven stuff and
Yeah.
people like that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So you're successful. You make a bunch of stuff. You're making TV shows. You're managing people. You have a nice little company rolling. And then this is where our stories really merge. When did you make your first loaf of bread, and why?
Well, it started on a trip we took as a family to Italy and took some cooking classes. And we really started with pasta.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were making pasta at home after that trip for 5 years. And we kind of went on to, I would always enjoy a bread called lard bread or prosciutto bread.
Oh, prosciutto.
And that was really the first one that I got deep into trying to replicate recipes I would try at
Yeah.
other bakeries or restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
And I eventually got pretty good at it. And that became my thing. And all my friends and family would love it and ask me to make it for them. And I'd make it on holidays.
Was it in the ring?
That was the first one. It's in the ring.
In the ring. Yeah. Oh,
It's
man,
usually
oh,
in
man.
the ring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is such a good bread that I live with all vegetarians. So it's difficult to like make it when no one else is excited about it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a big ring of meat and cheese that you have to eat by yourself.
It's so good though. It's so good. Man, we went to Italy and we took a cooking class too, and we got the book and we're like, we're going to make pasta every night. And I think we made it once.
Yeah. It's a lot of work. It's
Yeah,
a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. And then especially when you read articles by like really good cooks and they're like, dried pasta's just as good. You're like, oh, what?
Exactly. I haven't made pasta in a long time, but
How long?
I'm over my head with the bread, so I don't even have time to make anything else.
Yeah. So how long did it take to get the prosciutto bread down to where you were happy with it?
Probably 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Isn't it
3 years.
amazing?
Tweaking it and playing with different flours and um, different cheese, different meats.
Right, right.
You know.
Yeah, because in the beginning, I do this with the olive bread too. It's like you just grab some. It's not consistent. You're like, oh, I found these olives. I'll use this one, and I'll throw this one in, and even if you have the right ingredients, bread is so tricky because to get the consistency down is a feat. But then if you start messing with the ingredients, where do you get your prosciutto?
I go to Restaurant Depot. I
Ah.
make about, at this point, I'm making at least 120 rings a week. I supply a wholesaler,
Yeah.
so that there's a bakery that does a lot of the Italian stores and supermarkets around here, uh, and specializes in really great artisan Italian bread. But to get in
Mm-hmm.
the supermarket, you have to be certified kosher. So he had to
Ah.
stop making it, and I make meat bread for them, and they put it in
Ah.
stores.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
And then I sell it at the farmers markets. And then one of the things we came up with at the farmers markets for people like you you don't have other people that want to eat meat bread.
Mm-hmm.
I put prosciutto bites in a cup, and I
Oh
sell
boy.
5 to 6 prosciutto bites, which is the same bread, but they're little munchkins.
Oh, really? That's
Yeah.
brilliant. So people
Yeah.
just walk around the farmer's market and eating the bread like it's a snack. Oh, that's
Yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah. It's pretty wild.
All right, so when you're going along, you're perfecting the bread, you're perfecting this prosciutto bread. You're obviously what was it like for you, where all of a sudden you're like, I had this little hobby, and now I seem to be getting in deep with this. This seems to be a little bit more of an obsession than other things in my life.
You know, it didn't it didn't completely evolve gradually where
Mm-hmm.
it was like, this is an obsession, I'm going to keep going deeper and deeper.
Mm-hmm.
We were making this bread and other types of bread, and at the beginning of COVID, everyone in my house was home. I have my wife and 3 boys,
Mm-hmm.
and we were joking around because we always called this our side hustle, like everyone does, but we called
Yeah.
it side hustle bread. And we decided to open an Instagram account featuring photos of the prosciutto bread at the beginning of COVID.
Uh-huh.
And people started DMing us asking to buy it, and it happened. It just happened.
Wow.
So we
Yeah.
ended up getting in deep without thinking about or planning it.
Right. But you're at home, you're baking this out of your home oven.
Not anymore.
No,
I'm still baking at home.
But at that
And
point,
at
when
that
you're
point, 100%.
right,
One oven.
one oven,
Yeah.
and you guys, you're showing your kids and your wife like people want this. Let's.
Well, they realized it just as much, right? And
Uh-huh.
they were kind of in the background saying, to me, people want this. Let's do this.
Okay. Okay.
And I didn't really want to be associated with it.
You're right.
I wanted to make it, but I was deathly afraid of people think I was doing this because I was failing or had nothing
Right.
going on at TV and film because of COVID.
Right.
And,
I
I
could
was
see
very
that.
insecure about it.
Right. I could see that. I mean, people were literally sending me stuff because, like, my YouTube thing got really popular, just showing people how to make sourdough, and it was a little bit of the similar thing. It was like, you were a comedian, right?
Right. Right. I mean, I still struggle a little bit. I mean, I'm very proud of where it's gone to,
Mhm.
but I still struggle with it a tiny bit, but
Right.
it is now all consuming. And,
Right.
the thing about 10,000 hours, I'm nowhere near 10,000 hours, but I am spending a lot of hours doing it
Yeah.
and like just repeating the process, which is part of what I love. I joke around. I feel like I'm a Buddhist monk, but I'm half serious. It's like, I kind of love getting in the zone and just doing it over and over.
I know.
know?
Yeah, 100%. And it must really increase because I haven't done it to the point where you're cranking out that many loaves. But it's just the process of it. If I do 4 loaves a week, it's still just that routine of when you feed it, when you feed the starter, when you get the thing. I mean, I'm not kidding, Jim. I just literally started my radio show this morning in the first mix. In between breaks, I would go fold it. And then I had it all in my head, and it's completely just a part of your life. I know that when these are final shaped and I'm putting them in the fridge, we are going to start our podcast. And that's how you end up living your life.
I did it yesterday. I was joking with someone. I scrambled to finish a bake because the deli in the town I live in uses my bread like 4 days a week. And I had to do this bake. I finished the bake at 11:30. One of my neighbor's kids delivered the bread to the deli, and I was on a video pitch with NBC at 12 noon. I mean, that's my life now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I had to plan the bake around making the pitch.
I know. And don't you catch yourself and you're like, this would be so much easier if I was just showing up for the pitch. I'm like literally down to the minute dusting flour off your pants as you're going into your next project.
Yeah.
It's so funny. But in a way it's kind of natural, isn't it?
I think so. I mean, for me, it is like, it's just what my life is. It's natural for me. And it is interesting since COVID. If COVID didn't happen, this would have never happened for me. I'm kind of so glad in that way it did.
Yeah.
Because I have not commuted. I used to commute 3 hours a day.
Wow.
For maybe 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
3 hours each way?
No, an hour and
a half into the city and then an hour and a half out.
Yeah.
Every day.
But we would work long, intense days, and it was just mentally exhausting. Yeah. And I would never in a million years have the time or the mental wherewithal to do anything like this.
Yeah. No.
And now I can't imagine myself ever getting an office in Manhattan again.
Yeah. Why would you?
You know?
Yeah.
I don't think it's ever going to go back to exactly the way it was. I don't think that these pitches are going to be in person. Maybe a little bit, but not 100%. Yeah. I could be wrong, but it's just as efficient. So why would they go back?
Yeah. Do you feel this is kind of a side thing, but do you feel like when you do pitch this way over Zoom that you can be as impactful as when you are in the room with them?
For me, it's so much better.
Yeah.
I'm just a nervous person, right? Unlike you, right? I'm not on stage.
Right.
I'm more comfortable behind the computer and writing.
Right.
I'll write comedy scripts and stuff, but I feel better on the computer having my notes.
Right.
It's hard for me to memorize these things. You have a 12-page pitch that you have to memorize.
Yeah. 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 No, that's right. But I guess the comedian in me is like, oh, but if I could just be in there, I could charm them.
Right.
I could turn it on. Yeah. Oh, that's interesting.
I think it works for me. And then the other crazy thing in this business, I used to go to LA a week every 6 weeks. And, we're on a pitch right now. They keep canceling the pitch meetings and moving them. And they always did this, but now it's even more. So I would have to always extend my trip from a week to 2 to 3 weeks to try to pitch 6 networks a project or something. Right. And now, they'd say, I want to do it at 8:30 New York time. I was like, all right, I'm fine. I could bake around that.
Oh, that's great. It really makes you think that it's like this has forced us to work more efficiently. Like you had the feeling like you had to be out there like 24 hours and like cranking, but you really didn't to get the same amount of work done.
I don't think you did.
Yeah, but you felt it when you were doing it, didn't you?
Yeah, but I always led an unorthodox Hollywood career in that I was always based in New York.
Yeah.
And even though all the selling we did was in Los Angeles, you know,
Yeah.
we would do it from here and go out there just for those meetings and then come back and live regular lives.
Right. Right. Yeah. So great. Okay, so now you've perfected your prosciutto, and then what's the first farmers market you decide you're going to where do you all of a sudden start poking out of your little kitchen and bag up some bread and go?
The Instagram account got some traction relative to being a Long Island bread maker.
Yeah, right. We're not comparing this to Ariana Grande.
No.
But
and
those people are loyal.
They are loyal. And a woman's granddaughter who was 10 years old DM'd us and say, would you like to do my grandmother's farmer's market in Lindenhurst? And I was like, yeah, let's do this.
Yeah.
Right? And that was the very first one. So it all happened from Instagram and an invitation and not even knowing much about the farmer's market world.
Right. So what do you do when you first show up? Well, how many did you bring?
We probably brought 60 to 70.
Wow. That's substantial.
Yeah. And at that point we were still doing it out of our oven.
Right. You're at home.
Yeah. We were still doing it there. And it was chaotic. I mean, we had my wife, my 3 kids, my oldest son's girlfriend, my middle son's girlfriend, and we really didn't know what we were doing. We really didn't. Like, we follow recipes, we measure in cups, not weight. And we're scrambling. Yeah. And I was just getting into sourdough. And that was a whole nother learning curve in the process. I have not been making sourdough for like 5 years.
Wow. Okay.
It's been a couple of years, but then to make it on scale and like to make different types and baguettes versus boulets, it's like there was some panic.
Yeah. Yeah. And
really failed batches of bread.
Yeah, and
trying to figure out what the hell we're going to do.
Yeah, once a bake fails, that's it. You're screwed. That whole timing thing is just you're just a mess.
The good thing about the farmers markets, in a way, you might get some pre-orders, but it's like you bring what you want and you sell it.
Right.
But we also had a very robust home delivery business, and that you're baking to order, and when that fails there, you have a problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So we went through that too.
This is so great. It's so great because you literally are living like the little quiet thought in my head of, what if we just started like, what if we?
Well, that was my kids. Like, what if we? And then they run away and I'm left with it.
Right. Yeah. You're a baker. Yeah. Oh, man. Wasn't it a cool moment? One of my favorite parts is when you got your first like 50-pound bag of flour delivered to the house, right? Yeah. It's just like
I took pictures. I was like, I had it on my shoulder. I was like, I got 50 pounds of flour.
Yeah, I literally just got 3 50-pound bags, and my wife was like, "What are you doing?"
What do you use?
I'm baking bread. Central Milling, out of Utah. Really good. It's like a malted wheat, and then an all-purpose. And then the reason usually I get 2, and the reason I have a third and going up to 150 is there was like this baker's wheat, and I've never used it before. And someone told me that they swear by it for breads, but that makes me nervous, right? Whenever you mess with your formula, you're like, oh shit, this is gonna be like starting over.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I do try to experiment with new stuff during the week. When I'm baking something else and it's a small bake, I'll try to do something new.
Yeah.
Then, on the weekends, we can't mess around.
Right. So you do that first farmer's market, and you must have sold out, I'm sure. It goes well.
Well, always like at the beginning of the farmer's market, everyone knows. It's like at the opening of a TV show or a movie, like everyone comes. And then in a TV show, 5 episodes in, the ratings settle into what it's, This is really what it's going to be.
Really?
Farmers markets are the same thing.
Really?
Absolutely. Same thing. Everyone's there the first weekend, you sell out, then you make more, and then it's a little less. And then you have to then figure it out. You have to figure out ultimately along the way,
Right.
what's the right amount to bring, what are the varieties.
Right.
We were making too many different varieties.
Mm-hmm.
It was fine for the customers, but it was very difficult in the house,
Yeah.
especially because we didn't have the experience on how to schedule it. you know?
Right. Right. And shift it. You're cleaning
Yeah.
out your refrigerator to put stuff in there.
Yeah.
So when do you? So where are you at now? How much? You're doing like 700 loaves a week?
Approximately. I know
Approx-
I'm looking at on my computer here. Sunday's 333. And then, so that's Sunday. Saturday's probably 250. And then there's bakes during the week.
Wow. And where are you
Now, so-
baking? Where are you
so
baking
that's the-
now?
That's the interesting thing. So I converted my garage
Uh-huh.
into a bakery.
No way.
Yeah. So I have a 10-pan oven, steam oven in my garage.
Whoa.
And Fairway closed down here in New York.
Uh-huh.
And I went and bought the baker's table
Really?
and the flour bins and a bunch of their stuff.
No.
Yeah. And
That's great.
and I pick up the flour. I use King Arthur flour
Mm-hmm.
mostly. And we store it all here. So we bake a good percentage of it, what we're allowed to. We have a home processor's permit from the New York Department of Agriculture
Okay.
to be able to make basic breads.
Right.
Anything with extras, vegetables or meats,
Mm-hmm.
we have to go use a deli at night when they're closed and use their ovens because they have the right certifications.
Oh. So that's where you're doing the prosciutto bread now?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Man, oh man. I'm not going to call this a side hustle. I'm going to call this a hustle.
It's a hustle.
It's a
It's
hustle.
still side
for real.
hustle money, though. Trust me.
Yeah. I know. Well, yeah. Yeah. I mean, the bread, you really got to open up a retail place and sell some booze.
I don't know what the answer on that is. I do have a friend that I've met through this that he sells massive amounts. It's a different business. He's in wholesale,
Uh-huh.
so he's just putting it out.
Yeah.
It's a very different thing than what we're
Mhm.
doing. But his breads are artisan and amazing.
There's a great baker in Queens, Giandusa,
Okay.
and they do it old school Italian way, brought from his family. They still do it. He cranks out a lot of bread for the city, or did for all the restaurants and stuff. And it's just family owned. They've just been doing it forever. And it was so cool to see someone that just did it that way, like the artisanal way, not because it was trendy, like they've been doing this for 70 years. But that wholesale business of supplying all of the restaurants, that place is open and baking at some stage every single minute of the day and night. There's someone in there.
That's what's crazy. Through Instagram, so the wholesale company I'm talking about is Montreal Bread from Brooklyn. They moved out here. I don't know. They have an 8,000 square foot factory with state of the art ovens.
Uh-huh.
I hit this guy up on Instagram DM, and within an hour he's like, come to the place and meet me. And we start talking. He gives me the codes to his facility. They're open 24 hours a day.
Uh-huh.
They're helping us bake some of the stuff.
Wow.
And we could use their facilities. And just to see that process of how it's done on a big scale, but still artisan, is amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
That's crazy. What have you learned from that? What surprised you?
They're still doing a lot, like the ovens and everything there is state of the art, but they're still doing a lot of the formulas by hand. They're still doing a lot of the baking calculations by hand. That surprised me a lot.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
How many people
And
do they have there?
they've got different shifts. It's open 24 hours a day.
Right.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I've gotten to know some of the workers, and they must have 25 to 30 people at different times and different shifts. They don't have, surprisingly, like they're so efficient that I don't think they need more than 4 people to shape all these breads at one time, or more than 6,
Oh wow. Yeah. 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 That kind
It's
of makes
very
sense.
compartmentalized, where they have people who shape, and that's all they do. Then they have
Mm-hmm.
people who work the oven. That's all they do. They have people
Right.
who bag. That's all they do.
Yeah.
It's very different than the way I do it, which we all do everything,
Right.
and just that's the one part of this that's tough. It's like we have to label. We now have to put our ingredients on everything.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to bag it all. And my whole house is now a bakery. Every room in my house has stuff.
Oh, if my wife hears this part of it, she's really gonna freak, because I've taken over like half of the kitchen. There's like a whole corner, with just equipment and stuff and barrels, and if I were to spread out to another room, that might be a problem.
It's tough, man.
But it's got to be pretty great. You got to feel pretty good about it. I mean, this is a.
I really feel good about it. I have to say, like, we've gotten to the point where we really figured out how to do this on a scale. We figured out the formulas. We made computer programs.
Mm-hmm.
We have oven schedules, like down to, when I'm looking at the sheet on the computer, I know I have to make 31 prosciutto breads Sunday, and it's 6 pans, and I know exactly what time they have to be shaped, how long it's going to rise, and when it's going to go,
Right.
and then into the next thing. So we are really so efficient now. We know exactly when the bake's going to end.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, it's pretty intense.
Yeah, it is intense, but it's really the scale is different, but it's no different than the way you have to when you first started, and you're just figuring out your day and when you can get it shaped and go make your call and do that. Like it's
Correct.
It's just that in a bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the same mind.
Exactly.
Tell me how good your prosciutto bread is.
I've been told
Uh-huh.
that it's as good as any prosciutto bread in Long Island, which
Mm.
is an extension of the city,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
A lot, like the
That's
city,
saying
Long
a lot.
Island is basically people who moved from Brooklyn and Queens,
Yeah.
so they know it. And
Yeah.
I think it's up there, man, and it's being sold in pork stores and
Wow.
Italian delis.
Wow. That's so great. And how can people find your bread?
At Side Hustle Bread is the Instagram and the Facebook. Side
Right.
Hustle Artisanalbread.com is the website where
Nice.
people could order and deliver.
Mhm.
And then the sourdough now also equally excites me, and that's being carried by a couple of retail stores too.
Oh, nice. Yeah. There's something about the depth of that process and making
Yeah.
that bread with that natural yeast that is that's pretty moving.
So what is your favorite bread to make?
My favorite is this country loaf olive bread. It's got green and Kalamata olives, herbs de Provence, and lemon zest. And I think it's my Sicilian background. Just olives it's been such a part of our life. And to get like that artisanal country loaf combined with the olives, that I could just eat forever. And it stays.
And that's a sourdough?
It's a sourdough. Yeah.
Do you add those extras after you mix?
I add it in after the first mix, and after I mix it and fold the first one, in the first 5 minutes, and then when I go to fold for the second time in 30 minutes, that's when I dump the stuff in.
When we first started, we would just throw the stuff in the mixer,
Right.
and then the bread wouldn't rise.
Right. Yeah.
And we didn't know that you can't
Yeah.
mix this stuff in, because the mixer crushes it,
Right.
and the acid affects the yeast.
Right.
And you have to like layer it in, and
Got no structure.
Learned that by watching YouTube.
Yeah, I know. Right. It's amazing. It's amazing what you can learn from all that stuff. I was just watching an Instagram post the other day where somebody had jalapenos and cheddar.
That's what I do. It's one of my most popular.
Oh, that's a good bread.
Yeah.
That's a really good bread. and just watching the way that they folded it all in this one process. You know,
I saw that. I saw that video.
you did see it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Robert Kelly's looking at porn on his phone. We're looking at bread mixing.
Exactly. That was a lot of jalapenos.
It was a ton.
Yeah.
It was a ton.
But we do
impressive.
it similarly. We do the same thing. We fold it in that way after.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, it's so good. Well, this is amazing. This is kind of like one of those things, like the way you're saying it. This wasn't planned. This is like almost like a comedy career. It's like you just started doing it and you loved it, and then it becomes something. It wasn't by choice.
It wasn't really by choice, and we were still like, we got ourselves into these things. It's 3 farmers markets Saturday and 3 on Sunday, so we can't even physically be at all of them.
Right.
So we're scrambling to get people to do them, and we're trying to figure out all those logistics and how do we. I mean, I'm doing the Southampton farmers market now,
Mm-hmm.
and I have a small SUV, and I've got the tents and the posters and the banners and the breads, and I couldn't see out the mirrors. Things were hanging out the window, and like now I'm gonna have to buy a van or something.
Oh, it's so great.
Knows?
It's so great. Oh man, that's amazing. This is one of my favorite conversations of the podcast, because it literally, because you talk to people who, like, you know, have been doing like these giant shops and it was baking, but that we came from similar worlds, and like we're kind of like had this little obsession, and you're like the culmination of those little daydreams I have. And I'm not sure if you convinced me to do it.
That's the thing. I'm not sure if I would want to convince you to do it. I don't know where I stand. And I'll tell you, my wife might say, don't do it.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, I'm going to find you when I come east, and I'm going to get some of that prosciutto bread for sure. Yeah.
All right, man.
Oh, we'll do it for sure. Thank you so much for your time. This is awesome. Side hustle bread. All right, and I'll post about it and send people your way so you can work even more.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Have a good one, man.
All right, Jim. Take it easy.
There you have it, the great Jim Serpico, everybody. I can't wait to go to New York and get some of his prosciutto bread. Oh, my Lord. I'm telling you, that bread, it comes in a ring. It's cheese and prosciutto in this perfect dough. It is one of the best things in life. It's simple. Let's just keep it at that. Oh, I can't wait. What a success story. He's going to keep going. I can tell. The same way that he's gotten all that production done in comedy, he's going to be just killing it in the bread game. Amazing. Hey, I would like to thank the people from Freshly. Dinner time can be chaotic, but with Freshly, it is easy. It is easy because they're chefs. They have these chefs that design these meals, and a few nights a week takes the pressure off. Freshly offers chef-made, nutrient-packed, delicious meals delivered fresh to your door, no cooking required. Sometimes you can't get to the grocery store. Sometimes you can't make the gigantic meal. That's where the people from Freshly comes in. Ordering is easy. Visit freshly.com and choose from over 30 delicious, satisfying, better-for-you meals like steak peppercorn, sausage baked penne, I had that, and your chicken pesto bowl. Freshly can fit your lifestyle with a variety of plans and meals to pick from that work for your dietary needs, preferences, tastes, and family size. I'm telling you. You've seen things get delivered. You've seen frozen meals. These are not frozen meals. These are fresh meals from Freshly, and you are going to be like, oh, they just... When they deliver, you don't have to think about eating something delicious and something that's good for you for 3 or 5 nights of the week. This is such a good product. Our listeners can try Freshly for $6.16 per meal. So stop searching the internet for healthy food near me every night and start living life Freshly. Your meals are always delivered fresh, never frozen, ready to heat and enjoy in just 3 minutes. There's new meals added each week. Right now, go to freshly.com/papa, freshly.com/papa, P-A-P-A, and you'll get $40 off your first 2 orders. Stop stressing about dinner. Go to freshly.com/papa freshly.com/papa. Thank you, Freshly. And not just for being a sponsor of the show, but for giving me great meals. All right, now it's time for a quick bite with our good friend, Robert Kelly.
Bobby,
Yes,
where were you?
I'm out at a meeting. I was at a meeting.
Oh my God, with who?
I was with Russell Peters.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I love
Sorry,
Russell.
buddy.
It's all right. I've just been tracking you down all day.
Sorry, buddy. Yeah, I've been in and out of things all day. That's why.
Good for you. I'm eating nachos with Ryan Hamilton and Todd Barry right now
Where?
at the Cellar.
Oh.
Yeah, we were hoping we were going to see you.
Does it feel weird?
No, it feels good.
Yeah. Oh. All right. Good.
I mean, you're not here, but we had some good sets. Noam's playing his music upstairs. That's annoying.
So it feels like it's back to normal then.
Right, exactly.
Where we're like,
No.
oh, fuck.
So I was talking to your old buddy Serpico, who's doing a whole bread thing now. He's selling bread called Side Hustle Bread, and he's selling 750 loaves of stuff. And I was like, wow, people get really weird during the pandemic.
Yeah,
And then
that's fucking crazy.
So I figured I wanted to just check in with you and see how you made out food-wise through the pandemic.
Like eating?
Yeah.
Oh, I fucking lost 50 pounds.
Nice.
And then I put it back on.
Oh, did you really?
I put it all back on.
No.
Oh, all of it. Yeah. I went on the Whole 30 in Aruba last year.
Yeah.
In December. Lost 50 pounds.
Wow.
And then went on the road. I got a gig in Tampa. And fucking Mike Calton made me have monkey bread. And then I spiraled out of control like a heroin addict.
No, really?
Swear to God, dude. Yeah, I remember the day. I remember what happened.
Oh my God.
But I'm back at the gym now, so hopefully this summer I'll just get back on it, and
Yeah.
So
Was it worth eating all that food?
No, dude. I gotta get my shit together.
Right.
I mean, the food thing. I had it together last year. It was unbelievable, and then one monkey bread.
That's all it takes.
Dude. It was weird, and then this is the bad part. He made me eat it, and then I ate it, and I go, "You have some." He goes, "Dude, I'm gonna die."
Right.
And he didn't have it. It was literally like a drug movie,
Yeah, yeah. It's powerful.
It was like a drug movie, but I don't know. I guess gotta get it together because I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm
you're
done
a man. You're a man of extremes.
Yeah, Billy Burr said I ate my way out of show business.
But it kind of, at times, it feels like you're eating your way into show business.
Well, yeah, I have to listen. And I'm mad too. Is this for your bread podcast? What podcast is this for?
Yeah, this is my Breaking Bread podcast.
Oh, your Breaking Bread podcast. I'm kind of mad at you.
Why?
First of all, I've never done it.
You haven't?
No, never done your Breaking Bread.
I thought you did it.
I haven't. And you know my story about my grandfather, right?
Yeah, with the bread.
Did I do it? Did I tell you that?
Yes,
before?
you did do it. Yes, you told us all about your grandpa's bread.
Oh shit. Okay. Well, there you go. Then I apologize. Thanks for having me on.
We do so many, and we talk all the time. It's like, is it a podcast? Is it not a podcast?
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to make sure. I just wanted to check in because I haven't seen you and I miss you, and I was wondering, like, because I didn't get an update on where you were at food-wise during the end of the pandemic. And now that we're out of it, I figured it was time to take the temperature.
Yes. No. I'm still fucking trying, buddy.
All right, buddy.
It's my last. I don't do drugs. I don't drink. I don't mess around. I have a lovely wife.
Yeah.
I can't use Q-tips.
Right.
I'm banned from Q-tips because one of the heads fell off in my ear. That's what they say. The thing they say will happen that you're like, that's never going to happen to me. That happened to me.
Right.
I go to the hospital.
Right.
You know, I have boogers and farts. That's all I have left.
So when monkey bread shows up, you're going to lose your marbles. That's okay.
I lost my marbles, but I'm going to get back on the horse. I plan on losing weight, and I'll be back. But I do love bread, and I wish Serpico maybe send me some of his bread. You know, I mean, we did work together for fucking 10 years.
All right, I will get on him. I'll get you bread, and if he doesn't, I'll send you mine.
Will somebody send me bread before I can't have bread anymore?
All right, done. All right, I got to go. The cellar's getting too loud now.
I'll see you later, brother.
Love you.
Bye. Love you too. Bye.
There you have it. That's our big show. Thank you to Jim Serpico. Thank you to Robert Kelly. Oh, that just felt like a New York show. That felt like good people from New York who love comedy and love eating and celebrating and baking bread. This Serpico story, we're going to have to check in on this intermittently because this is going to be big. And I think we're getting in on the ground floor, so that means we're going to get a lot of prosciutto bread. Thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for reviewing the show. It really helps a lot if you go to iTunes or wherever you listen and you give us lots of stars and lots of love. Thank you so much. Keep your comments coming. Keep your suggestions coming. Your guests that you'd like to hear from. And more than that, enjoy your life.